We are in Bengaluru today, and with us is Kia's newest vehicle, the Carenss, or more accurately, the Carens Carenss. Yes, the updated Carens gets a suffix because the pre-facelift model will carry on, but in one trim only. The Carens Carenss will be offered in multiple variants. So what's new? Well, as far as updates go, typically it's at the front and the rear. So what's new? Let's take a look at the front. Now, if you're thinking this looks more EV-like, that is intentional because actually there is a Carens Carenss EV that's coming up in about 2 months' time. And as you can see, this front bumper area, it's gotten a lot more sort of a closed-off look. The earlier Carens also, it was closed off, but the black portion was a little fatter, and so you had an sort of illusion of a huge air intake down here and an air intake area up here, although it wasn't an air intake. It was just a sealed off area. This is now thinner. There is an LED also in here, and the DRL, sort of extends all the way down like this. They bracket the newly styled headlights, which on the top variant contain what Kia calls the ice cube lights. Down below, the bumper gets a garnish done up in a metallic-like finish. Okay, let's move over to the side now. While nothing much has changed, what you will notice are newer wheels, and they're larger on the top spec car or the higher trim cars, 17 inches that we have on this car. And on the other car, because that's a lower trim, they are 16 inches. Okay, so let's head over to this car here and check out the rear. Now, it is very familiar to the previous car, but if you look closely, you'll notice the lower edge has changed, and that's because the bumper, the soft parts have been changed, and it's allowed Kia to change the shape here. The way it extends into the fender, that of course remains the same as before. This bar that connects both the tail lights is a little fatter than the previous car, and of course you've got the DRL signature extending right across. Also new is this stop light up here in the spoiler, which is on top of the tailgate, and down below, as you can see, the bumper too has a different shape and treatment. Since we're here at the rear, let's take a look in at the third row. The boot space rather, with the third row up, that's 216 liters. Pretty usable in fact, and you can of course extend, folding down the third row as well as the second row too. There's also a small storage area down here for the first aid kit and tools, and in case you're wondering where the spare tire is, well, it's down below. Moving over to the interiors. Now what's really nice to see is typically updates, some companies tend to limit them to the outsides only, and you'll find a dashboard carried over. Here the dashboard is all new, and as you can see, very, very different from the previous car. You've got a large dual pane display here, which houses two 12.3-inch screens. This one has, of course, your instrument panel display, so you've got dial displays, which I always like, and you can change, of course, those. And here you've got the infotainment. Down below, you have the switchable panel, so you can switch between HVAC or AC controls, and then you can switch to media and other controls. It's not really something I really like, but it is there in a lot of other Kia cars. You have, of course, the dials, so that's really nice. You just have to make sure you know which mode you're in, whether you're in AC mode or in the navigation mode. Now the center console is really nice also, and I really like this. In fact, the design and the layout looks good, but it's also very functional because, as you can see, the drive mode button falls easily to hand. There are nice toggle switches for the cooled seats over here. Both seats, of course, cooled. And then you've got USBs up here, USB-A, Type-C, wireless charging phone pad here, twin cup holders which are cooled as well, so you can shut the cooling vents if you want them, or open them out. And then you've got this little tray, or you can remove that, and there's a nice deep storage down here below. The steering wheel is also the new Kia unit. As you can see, it's got this squarish look here. Now we've seen this on the Ceros, and now again here on the Carenss. The Kia logo is offset to the right here, and you've got your steering mounted controls here, which I have to say are really nice to use. The scroll wheel as well as the toggle switch have a nice tactile feel to it. And in this trim, it is leather covered, and I like the color combination because they've gone with the cream and the navy shade, which matches the plastics as well. What I also like on the dashboard is this fabric insert. It's here in the corners and here all across in front of the passenger. Looks really nice and premium. And the top is also this navy blue color, which is also the color used for the other plastics in the car. Really looks nice. In fact, I'm quite sure you can pick that up in the sunlight here, this nice navy blue or a darker blue shade. What you probably can't pick up right now is the ambient lighting. So there is a strip in here in the dashboard and it extends into the door panels there on the side as well. Now the other big change with the Clavis is up here, a large panoramic sunroof. Now if you remember, the Carens had a sunroof, but it was a small one up in front, and that's because they had AC vents here as well, of course, on the third row. What they've done with the Clavis is they've moved those AC vents to the outside, rerouted them, and you have made space now for a large panoramic sunroof. Inside, well, things remain the same, which is a good thing because space is something quite nice. As you can see, the seat was adjusted to my position and I've got enough of leg room and knee room here. And speaking of seat adjusted to a position, you have, of course, that boss mode here, so you can slide it forward if you want to liberate more leg room, if there's no one sitting over there. So room is really nice. And in terms of features, you've got a fold out tray here with a small cup holder and a device holder, so like a tablet. You've got pockets on top here, down here. You've got twin Type-C USBs and a small shelf here, which is also cooled, so you could keep a bar of chocolate nice and cool down here, which Kia have thankfully done that for us. And here, this also carries over, of course, is the air purifier. So you can switch that on and it will purify the inside air. And of course, this is the Carens Clavis, which means it has the third row of seats. So why don't we get back there and check it out? Now, you can just climb through the center here, but I'm going to do it the more elegant way, which is folding this down. Okay, so getting into the third row, well, this seat here on the left-hand side of the car has a electrical release. What you have to do is just get this armrest up, press the button on top here, and it will fold out of the way and you can get in nice and easy. Now, when you're here, I have to say this area, this row is actually quite usable. As you can see, this seat is reclined and you can recline them. There's a lever here, as you can see, you can make it more upright or a little more towards the back. And I'm going to fold this down. And remember, when you do that, always watch your feet because you don't want it getting stuck in that latch. But here, now, my knees just about fit, which means I don't have space, but for a 5'8" adult, it's surprisingly usable. Plus, there's also a cup holder here, another device holder with a Type-C charger, and these glasses here give you a nice view outside. I wish they were a little larger, but still it's not all that bad. So the third row, while it may be, just right for kids, an adult could sit here for a short journey too. And if you look on top, you've also got, the third row also has their own reading lights as well as AC vents. On to the driving bits now. First though, here's what the powertrain and variant combo looks like. Sadly, opt for a diesel and you miss out on goodies like the cooled seats, the 12-inch touchscreen and the Bose sound system. So then, what's this 6-speed manual like? Well, let me just begin with the gearbox itself because it is such a delight. I mean, going through the gears, the shift, effort, the engagement feels very positive. Effort is just right, not too light, not heavy. The clutch pedal too, the travel isn't very long and the bite point comes up at a nice natural pace. So driving it's actually a really pleasurable experience. And what about the engine? Well, the 1.5 turbo direct injection petrol makes 160 horsepower and 253 Newton meters of torque, making this the most powerful in the Carens Clavis lineup. Performance is quite good. You put your foot down, for example, at around 2000 RPM and it moves off nice and smartly and you're very soon, well, at or over the speed limit. So I'm going to back off right now. But yeah, it's really nice. Having said that though, the power band is quite narrow. So power comes in at around 1400 and from then on it builds up in a nice steady manner till about 4000 and then it begins to taper off. So you can rev it beyond 4 and it does go past 4 and 5 and 5,500. But there really is no point because it just gets really loud and thrummy and you won't enjoy that feeling. You have to remember it's tuned to be effortless rather than outright sporty, in keeping with the Clavis's character. Sound insulation, in terms of the tire sound, it's really good. In fact, it's quite nice and hushed, but you can hear the engine come through. In fact, I wouldn't describe this as a silent engine at all. You can hear it. unless you're doing really steady cruising and your revs are at around 1400, 1500, but you just get past that and you can hear the engine. So overtaking, for example, if you drop a gear and you want to overtake, yeah, you can hear the engine sort of roaring away. Now, in terms of suspension, it does its job really well in terms of soaking up bumps like that. You don't really feel it crashing through. You can feel the surface, you know what you've gone over. It's not like a, nice hushed or plush kind of feeling. You do know what you've gone through, but it doesn't crash through. And so that's really nice. And what I also like about the suspension is at high speeds, stability is really good. We were driving this out on the highway and at triple-digit speeds, it's quite composed and level. So no real drama there. Passengers who tend to feel car sick will also like the fact that body roll is well managed. The steering feel, it's quite light as you'd expect. So for example, like this at slow, steady pace, when you want to go around a corner or at parking speeds, it's nice and light and typically what you'd expect. At higher speeds, it does weigh up and there is some amount of weight. Time now to switch cars. Okay, so we are in the automatic version of the turbo petrol. Now, straight up front, let me point out some differences in terms of controls. So you've got paddle shifters behind the steering wheel. You've got drive modes. Remember, the manual didn't have drive mode, so we've got normal, eco and sport. You have, of course, the gear lever down here, which you can hit over to the right here for manual control, Tiptronic plus and minus, and you have an electronic parking brake as well. You also have a full ADAS suite. Yes, the Carens now has an ADAS suite, so you've got things like lane centering, you've got forward collision warning and braking, rear cross traffic alert, and the work. Power and torque are identical to the manual, but thanks to drive modes, it feels a bit different from the manual. Now in eco mode, of course, it is still very usable and it isn't anemic. You won't find yourself staying away from it. In fact, I've been driving in eco mode for a while and it's quite usable. Pulling off some overtakes as well were doable. It drops a gear or two, of course, and you need to then move on. But all in all, you can easily use it, and I can see customers using that in the city, for example, when you're not too much of a hurry. That said, when the road opens out like this, you can use normal mode or switch to sport, like I am in right now, and you'll immediately see the revs climb because it holds higher revs, and that's handy for overtaking. So this version is for the highway runners, for the ones who have a lot of long running, because this is the diesel. We have with us the automatic, the 6-speed auto. Now, like the petrol auto, this has a Tiptronic selection, so you can move over, manually control the shifts, but you don't have paddle shifters behind the steering wheel. You also have sport mode, eco and normal, so you have drive modes like the petrol auto did. So that's what it is in terms of its controls. Power stands at 116 horsepower and 250 Newton meters of torque. So what's that feel like from behind the wheel? Well, right now I am just cruising a steady 80 kilometers per hour. It's in normal mode and performance is just fine for regular highway cruising. If you want to get past traffic, put your foot down like this. It will drop about 2 gears or so and shoot you up forward. So it's par for the course. It's not really that super strong, punchy diesel that you'd expect. In fact, even if I do move to sport mode, which I am in right now, and you put your foot down like this, it moves quicker, obviously, and you can hear a lot of it as well, but it doesn't get into that punchy zone. This is very much set up for a family vehicle, steady highway cruising. And if that's what you expect from your car, then you'll be satisfied. But if you're looking for something really punchy and spirited, like a strong, torquey diesel, this one isn't it. That then is the Carens. Performance-wise, the turbo petrol and the diesel are just fine. But it's the rest of the car that is impressive. As expected of Kia, interior quality is very good. And the refresh adds some cool new tech over what was already a well-spec'd car. As with the original, space inside is generous and usable right up to the third row. And on the outside, the update brings in a fresh feel too. So all in all, it's a very sensible package with a good dose of desirability sprinkled on. All that's left to see now is what Kia prices it at. We expect the top spec petrol auto to come in at around the 21 lakh rupee mark. Do let us know what you think. And then you've got here cup holders which are cooled and electronic parking brake, and they've got a small little shelf here, but there's also a nice deep